So countdown. I'm doing countdown. Seconds and. Hello, good morning to the US community and good evening to the Japanese and Korean community. Welcome to our AMA. We are here all in INX offices in Israel. Okay, so we have some housekeeping rules. Anything discussed here should not be seen as any investment advice. We received a lot of questions. We will address them each one to the right person we think will be the appropriate one to answer, and all in the possible time that we have. Okay, so let's start with the exciting listing of tokenized Nvidia. Yeah. And our partnership with Bakkt. Bob, you worked with Bakkt to bring the product to market. Please, so you can take this one. Okay, so why did we choose Bakkt as our tokenization partner?
Well, thanks. Hello, everyone. We chose Bakkt. We looked at their track record, the space they occupy, the service they've been blockchain space, and they're an important player. We know that they are a regulation first approach, just like we are as well. So they operate with the right licenses and the right regulatory compliant framework. If we look at the assets that they have already brought to market, like the tokenized treasuries that they have, like the other tokenized equities that already exist, those assets are created under EU compliant regulations. These are MiFID compliant assets. And we look at the partnerships that they have working with Swiss banks that are providing custody services, all under the DLT Acts of Switzerland, of Europe, Liechtenstein, and basically a regulation first approach. And I think generally as well, the sharing of that democratization vision that we have. So it wasn't really let's say a hard decision when you're trying to work with regulated types of players. So yeah.
Okay, thank you. And there's another one for you. So can you talk about the one-to-one backing and the custody model of the underlying shares?
Yeah. This I think is really interesting, and it's really important that people understand this and make sure this is clear. So what you have here is a marriage of European regulatory compliant offering with US ATS, right? Mm-hmm. And I think it's really great to see this happening. So as I mentioned earlier on, the instrument itself is issued through the Liechtenstein FMA. It makes it EU regulatory compliant. As I said, it's compliant with European prospectus regulation. It has an ISIN. It is again MiFID compliant. The custody is being done through Swiss private banking partners that Bakkt as the issuer chooses to work with and has relationships with. The Swiss banks are audited through a third party so that the underlying is always accounted for, it's visible, it's there. We also know that Bakkt has used Chainlink's oracles on some of their other assets, and there are some conversations going on here. So we expect to see proof of reserves of the underlying assets, and so that's more or less the confidence that the investors have, is that this isn't something that we say or Bakkt says. It can be verified through third-party audits. We've also seen what I think is a critical new entrant into the market, which is rating agencies. So we now have Particular, for example, out of Germany, great guys, and they've done an independent analysis and assigned a rating to the instrument here. It's a AA rated asset, which is pretty cool. So the custody model is pretty transparent. Of course, I recommend that everyone reads the key information document, fact sheets, the final terms, all of which are available on the back website, and make sure people understand all the detail of the instrument.
Well, thanks. I remember years ago when FTX and Binance listed something very similar.
Yeah.
So how is that different?
It's very different, right? Mostly for the reasons that I already shared, right? You're talking about a regulated or an instrument that is created under the regulations of the European Union. I think it's fair to say that was not the case, back then. So it's the one-to-one backing of the underlying assets. Audited through third parties. It's the MiFID compliance. It's all of the regulatory compliant factors that we incorporate into every product we bring to market. It's the same thing that BACT is doing. So this is a very respectable instrument, that is in no way comparable to whatever we've seen in the past.
Okay. And how about the dividends for token holders?
Another good point, and I know I've seen a lot of discussion in the community around this topic. So the tokenized instrument is entitled to dividend distributions or dividend payments just as the underlying is, and this is pretty cool, right? So it's not some kind of it is a derivative of the instrument, but it comes with the rights that the underlying asset has or includes. And so we have a mechanism through which we will, basically ensure that the token holder inherits the value of the dividend. So yeah.
Okay. Thank you. And Bob, finally, people are asking if bNVDA can be purchased with crypto.
Well, first of all, the Nvidia, the tokenized Nvidia asset is listed against the dollar, as with every other security token on INX. But as the community knows, and anyone who doesn't know who's listening, is that using the INX digital or INX crypto capabilities or on-ramp, you could fund your securities account within minutes, I think less than 4 minutes last time I checked, by sending in crypto from your linked MetaMask wallet. So I could say yes, indirectly, you could buy, by sending in crypto to the platform.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, Ellen, you're the next. So
Ellen arrived this morning. I hope he's not too tired.
I'm in good shape. Ready to go.
Can you comment on our INX crypto licensing application outside the US, in the Europe, for example?
Sure. So we have ongoing internal discussions about this. Just like as in Europe, everywhere else in the world, everything's constantly evolving on the regulation front. So we are considering licensing in the EU and elsewhere. There's certain peculiarities, like Mika, for example, is more focused on the cryptocurrency side, whereas our priority is really with securities and security tokens and RWAs. So some regulations don't fit the bill for everything that we need. But we do discuss licensing in the EU and elsewhere in Asia, and if that might take the form of a strategic partnership. Token holders and shareholders.
Okay, great. Get back to you later. Okay, Michael. So first of all, again, welcome. Pretty sure that the community is very excited to meet you, especially our friends in Japan.
Yes. Yeah, thank you. Hi, everybody. Michael Morrow, the new Chief Strategy Officer here at INX. Extremely excited to be here. And tomorrow will mark my 1-month anniversary. So thank you for having me, and very excited to be here. And now in Japanese, INX のコミュニティの皆様、はじめまして、モロと申します。これからよろしくお願いします。
Thank you.
This is new for us
Thank
also.
you for that. We were surprised.
This is great.
This is great.
Okay, so I will address the questions in English instead.
That's fine.
So we can understand.
Yeah. With the STO market taking time to grow and mature, what else is INX working on? For example, real world asset tokenization opportunities.
Sure. So INX from the very beginning, I think, has been very future looking and trying to imagine the world as it gets to a more digitized, tokenized space, and have set up the licensing and the technology to sort of embrace that, as that's certainly going to happen over time. To the kind of the thoughtfulness of the question, we don't know when that large wave of tokenization is going to happen. We certainly want it to happen sooner rather than later, but the market is going to happen when it happens. That might be a year from now, 3 years from now, and whatnot. So part of my role here at INX is to help develop some more near and medium term strategies and asset classes and marketplaces that INX should be thinking about entering that is more near term in terms of traction and transactions and volume and available assets ultimately in the marketplace. And so the RWA opportunity, we've talked about it. Bob just explained in detail our relationship with BACT and our ability to now bring the tokenized Nvidia share-like products to the marketplace. And so we've been talking about additional assets that we can list certainly on the INX platform in the same way now that we've built the template on how to do these things. And certainly we'd love feedback, continued feedback from the community as to what kinds of stocks and what kind of instruments would be interesting for you to invest in through the INX platform. So that's kind of one aspect. Number two, the RWA world is obviously a large addressable market, but is relatively small today compared to what it potentially could be in the future. And so the RWA areas, which have already taken some traction in, those are the areas that INX is currently focused on. And so you will see us working on new projects, new asset classes in existing RW areas with traction so that we don't have to create the volume. The volume and the interest is already there. And we'll be working on those partnerships and new projects relatively soon.
Okay, thank you. There's another one. Do you have any plans for collaboration with DeFi platforms or expansion into DeFi sector?
So we have to obviously be very careful. INX is very regulatory compliant,
Right.
And our obligations to our regulators and our licensing has to come first. And so any and all interactions that INX will directly have with various DeFi platforms have to be regulatory compliant, meaning AML, KYC of users and things like that to make sure that we know exactly what we're transacting with. Having said that, I think there's lots of opportunities for lending against real world assets. I need tokens that are ultimately developed on DeFi platforms and creating ways to, in a regulated walled garden fashion, to be able to bring those tokenized money market funds or treasuries or tokenized commodities and the ability to trade those, create lending products and the like against those things. Those are absolutely opportunities in which we can certainly interact with the DeFi community.
Okay, thank you, Michael. Okay, Ty. So we're moving to you. And addressing some questions on the Republican partnership. Okay, so the first one. After the acquisition of Republic fell through, has there been any progress on listing Republic related projects?
Republic is a great company, and the Republic management are great friends, and the relationship is as strong as ever. We work together, we meet regularly, we work together on different opportunities in the pipeline, both from the Republic side, as well as opportunities coming from INX to Republic. One that is already live is Watford. This is a good example. It's live now on Republic domain, and it was sourced by INX, and we will continue to work with the Republic on large-scale projects like Watford. We see, by the way, more sports club interest coming to INX, not only from the English league, but from other leagues as well, and this is very exciting. for us, for me as a football fan. We continue to pitch INX ATS to Republic customers, as we will want to leverage the Republic distribution power and network to the benefits of the issuers on INX. So we work very closely together, and I'm sure we'll see more results coming in the near future.
Okay, thanks. There's another one for you. So relating to the fee sharing agreement with Republic and how that works going forward, what can you share on this?
Well, originally we shared the initial revenue share agreement, which was Republic business coming to INX, and they were entitled for 75% of the revenues. We agreed to change and modify the terms, and now we have a mutual revenue share agreements in place, basically on business that Republic brings to us, not 75%, and business that INX brings to Republic in place, and it's in place basically to entice and further develop the relationship and the business development activities between the two companies.
Okay. Thanks. Yes, then the next one will be for Shai. So another community member wants to know if the Republic's acquisition of INX is still on the table.
As I mentioned before, we work closely with Republic. I think the ongoing relationship between INX and Republic shows high level of confidence in each other. And yes, we see the future of the tokenization world and the cryptocurrency assets. We see this, we have a common vision. As for the acquisition, and as we published like 2 months ago, I think, we said that the Republic deal and Republic remains committed to exploring the potential acquisition of the entire shares of INX. These things are mainly on the Republic side to close their issues. And as we said, this is still on the table. We don't have any
Binding
legal agreement or date as an obligation. But the main thing is that we work together on a daily basis.
Okay, thanks. Paul, we'll get back to you now. So the next question is about transaction fees on INX compared to traditional brokerage platforms.
Mm-hmm.
What can you say about that?
Well, I think it's good enough. It's a great time to reconfirm what we did with the Nvidia listing, which is to bring down the trading fees by, what was it, 90% or something like that, which is significant.
Again, how much?
90%.
90 or 19?
90%. We also look at the other layer ones, the Avalanche, Polygon, as opportunities to offer, even lower trading fees potentially. So it's something that we're very much aware of, as something that the community has expressed its desire to see these fees get lower, and this is also something that we're now looking at the INX token as well, and any other tokens on the platform as well.
Okay, thanks. So keeping on the blockchain questions, why was Ethereum chosen as the chain for bNVDA?
For Nvidia?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, it's, we're kind of working with the primary issuer here, right? And in this case, it was agreed that this would go on mainnet. That isn't to say that Bakkt doesn't support, these tokens on Polygon, for example, or Avalanche, and I think Arbitrum is supported as well, and a bunch of other EVM compatible chains. And this is exciting for us because, as most should know, we're blockchain. We are a blockchain agnostic thinker, right? Mm-hmm. And we already support, Avalanche and Polygon and mainnet on secondary listed assets. So this opens up opportunities here to work closer with other layer ones and potentially bring more assets onto INX that will live on other chains. So I expect in the near future we'll see more assets that are on Polygon or on Avalanche and not just on mainnet.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. So Michael, this one addressed to you. So how does INX plan to increase volume on both crypto and securities?
So what INX is clearly working on is to increase liquidity and volume on both sides, on both crypto and securities. And we saw a few weeks ago the announcement between INX and BitGo on joining the Go network as sort of one example of the efforts that are sort of being undertaken so that folks that have assets custodied at BitGo on the Go network are able to settle transactions kind of directly, even on the INX trading platform. And I think that's one example, and we'll see a lot more business development and project efforts geared towards making better use of our crypto platform going forward. That's one. Having said that, securities is our focus. That's what INX is built around, and that will be a key part of the central part of our strategy certainly going forward. And so we just talked about additional assets like the Nvidia token that we'll see on the platform. We'll continue to work on additional projects to add in the RWA space. As long as we come up with interesting and attractive investment opportunities on the platform and get them there, the liquidity and the transaction volumes will naturally come. So that's part of the pitch that we're working on is say, let's get interesting projects on the platform, lots of ways to do that with our ideas on how to do that. And then we'll have the investor base, you, the community, to help us create that liquidity once we have a lot more of those projects online.
Thank you. Ellen, so the next one's for you. Is INX actively pursuing the same licensing the Prometheum has?
So our priority right now is to focus on our self-custody model because we believe it's the most beneficial. So we're really trying to focus on enhancing that model and making it as cheap as possible. We think the benefits that come along with it, like the 24/7, 365 trading, the not your coins, not your keys, not your coins model for a user's security is really the most beneficial model. So we have a somewhat related amendment in with regulators now to kind of enhance our self-custody some more. But we'll keep trying to cram the fees down on it, make it faster and more frictionless. And lastly, Prometheum's approval. While it's great, they're still pre-operational, so we kind of haven't seen it in action yet. We don't know what kind of limitations come along with it, so it's kind of yet to be seen.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Okay. Are there any plans to list the INX token on other exchanges that meet licensing conditions?
Right. We talk a lot about RWA, tokenized RWA, and Nvidia is the first example, and there will be more to come. At the same, we can say that there is a movement also. We are very keen to list the INX token on NASDAQ or London Stock Exchange or Tel Aviv Stock Exchange. It's very relevant, and I believe that we'll see this evolving over time. And you said that they need the right, or they meet the licensing conditions, and this is true. We speak with the traditional exchanges, we speak with digital exchanges, and we keep a close eye on the relevant developments and licensings happening in Hong Kong, for example, and also the first MTF license to be issued in Europe. And there are other opportunities, generally speaking. And yes, if there will be the right exchanges with the right set of licenses, then this is something we will want to we will look for.
Okay, thanks.
It's probably worth adding that all these guys who are working on getting licenses, I say all of them, a good number of them are reaching out to us because they would love to see a token like the INX token listed, because for them it's legitimization. It's like, here is a US issued security token that is listed on an upcoming secondary trading venue in Hong Kong, for example.
Yeah.
So that's really encouraging.
It's important what you're saying, because I think one of the things that is very unique about INX is the option to access the retail market. And all of those who issue tokens and they want retail market to join the game, the only way, or maybe not, the most possible way is to use INX, because most, and carefully I say most and not all, most of the other platforms out there, especially in the US, are not accessible to retail clients. So if as an issuer, as a company that raised capital, you want to access the retail market, you have to use INX.
I think, yeah, it's going to go both ways, right? Ultimately, we're going to see the first cross listings soon. And in some cases, it will be on a platform that can only serve accredited investors. Whereas on the other side, it will be like a truly retail exchange platform like INX, where, so this is just going to,
and
open
any
up
platform that serves only accredited investors, with all due respect, there is no news about it, because accredited investor, you could have done whatever you wanted last year or 5 years ago.
As part of our vision, as part of the digital age, for sure, retail is a priority for us, which brings to the table also the question around custody. How do you custody security tokens as opposed to traditional securities? And maybe we'll discuss it a bit later. I see one question in the community here from Stefan on LinkedIn. What ERC standards can INX accept for security tokens? Maybe this is the point to mention that the INX token was issued on ERC 1404. bNVDA is on ERC 20.
Right.
We can support other standards with small modifications, but generally speaking, now we have 1404 and 20 on the platform.
Okay, so moving to the next subject, which is about Nabatech. So I just won't be addressed to you as well. Nabatech announced more than a half year ago that they chose Polkadot. Is there a way for us to see what they are building?
So Nabatech is the project that we nurture and build together with our Swiss partner. It's another strategic partnership, just like the Republic partnership is. We chose Substrate blockchain or Substrate environment by Polkadot, and we've developed a product, a full CBDC, holistic CBDC solution for retail CBDC, wholesale CBDC, tokenized deposits, and also support of stablecoin issued by central banks. The solution is ready in many aspects in terms of privacy and scalability and convertibility and programmability and interoperability. And I said it with no mistakes. But it's hard. But it's really ready, and we showcased the solution already to few central banks around the world. We keep it very confidential for different reasons, of course, but we showcased, and there was one. The names, of course. There was one central bank that made public that we were shortlisted as one of the 3 or 5 potential providers, which is great. And we will continue to develop. CBDC has a long horizon. It's not going to replace cash in the world tomorrow. There are different incentives for different countries, advanced economies as developing, as well as developing economies. There are different geopolitical considerations. It's a long-term project, and I'm sure that it will bear fruit as time will continue. I saw a question about INX stake in this venture, and we made it public that INX holds 33%, and of course, as the venture will make profit, then INX will be entitled for the pro rata of the profits for sure. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, or comment? Yes.
One more comment. I mentioned Polkadot before, and maybe back to INX, working with the L1s and their communities is important for us. Basically, an advice or an idea that we got from our community. We're going to list .USD market, open .USD market on INX crypto platform on the crypto side in the next couple of weeks. So this is also happening, not necessarily related to Nabatech, but yes, definitely as part of the discussion with Polkadot.
And it's very exciting as well. Okay, seems like we're entering to the last question. So Shai, this one is for you. We kept this for you as a closure. So how come INX hasn't been able to get any funds listed, such as securitized as from companies like KKR, Hamilton Lane, etc.? Is there a difference in what INX and securitized are? Is in licenses or things like that?
The beauty in the market is that there are competitors. A company that works alone, maybe beside of Facebook, but Facebook is not alone, is a social network. If you are alone, it means that you are failed. So we are happy to see others getting into the market, whether this is securitized realtor, such platforms, or on the other side of custody or tokenization companies like Bakkt and others. We in INX decided to put a focus on retail clients. Of course, we serve institutions as well, but our license, as you asked before, allows us to onboard retail clients with no limitation, of course, under KYC, AML, but with no limitation, US and non-US, subject to the internal regulation in each and every jurisdiction. I believe that Securitas, for example, decided to concentrate on funds, and this is fine. We decided to concentrate and to put the focus on Nvidia, for example. We can onboard retail clients, others may not. So this is why they chose to take KKR and other funds. And we decided to take other side of the market, and this is fine. You know, Nike don't sell the same shoes like on cloud. It's different, and this is fine. And yet, we have a great advantage where we can offer, like what Securitas did, I think it was with BlackRock or Hamilton Lane, that they offer a private equity fund to accredited investors or institution only. Again, we can offer those funds to retail clients. Now, if we look at the total assets of in the world, you know, it's above $203 trillion. Depends if you calculate real estate or only cash or bonds or debt or black money, but it's above $200 trillion. Around 50% is retail, is being held by retail clients, individuals, and the other side by institutions. So once we widen the option for retail clients to get into this game and to invest with the full regulation, of course, in private equity funds, for example, we double the potential money that can get into this market. So to summarize this, we decided to focus on retail clients, Nvidia, for example, DOT, for example, INX token, for example. We have other tokens for accredited investors only. We see what others they do. It's fine. But in the near future, we will come with a product similar to what you mentioned, available for retail clients, and this will be kind of unique.
Great, thank you. Okay, so for summarizing, would you like each one to have like a sentence to summarize? What would you like to start?
Sure. I think I want to share a sense of excitement that has really come, and I mentioned this on the space that I did, I think, a week or two ago. There's something different about these last 3-4 months than in the prior 3 years, right? And the way I like to describe it is, in the prior 3 years, it was like tokenization is one of the crypto things that might change the world. Whereas in these last 3 months, it's like, oh, this is happening. And let's not even question that anymore. Let's kind of reposition our mindset and work to, with that as a backdrop. It's happening. And so when opportunities come through my business development pipeline, it feels different. There's also a little bit more of the type of potential client that I would like to be engaging with. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like the market is really understanding the opportunity now, specifically how it's transformational to the traditional financial space, the old and tried and tested ways of doing things. It's getting clearer and clearer where tokenization can enhance, improve, speed up, lower the cost, and all those various benefits. And those guys who are in that traditional space, they're the ones that are reaching out. And so I guess I just want to share this real sense of encouragement, validation, that what started off 7 years ago, right? 6 years ago, at a time where, it was still very much shy. Time is, So this is it. This is very re-energizing. We had tough years, right? What happened with FTX and Binance and Celsius, and that's a very long list, cannot be ignored as potentially damaging. But what has happened in these last 4-5 months is truly encouraging. So I'll leave the community and the audience with that positive vibe. Yes.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah. Just end with that. I mean, it's the part.
Should have let me go last.
No, but seriously, thanks everybody for joining. Glad we could do this. We'll try to do them more often as things go forward to keep you up to speed on what's going on. So thank you for joining. Glad to be here all in one place around the same table.
Yeah, exciting. Thank you.
Michael?
Sure.
In Japanese.
No, please. You're testing my Japanese here. For me, it's obviously been incredibly exciting to join a very smart, driven, forward-looking team here at INX, and it's been incredibly fun. What we can tell you what we're working on is we are taking a fresh look at all of the various markets and opportunities that are out there, and trying to figure out which markets can INX serve its clientele the best, and trying to find a fit between what INX has built versus what the market's available opportunities are, and figuring out kind of the best way to allocate our time, our effort, our money in a way that drives value to the INX community. And so this work will take us some time. This is not some sort of overnight kind of tasks that we're working on right now. But at the end of it, we will come out with a thoughtful plan, thoughtful strategy around the right markets for INX to approach, followed by kind of the tactical element of the step-by-steps that we need to be able to win. And the work is just beginning, and I'm incredibly excited and thrilled to be a part of it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. I will say that tokenization, I wrote it also, tokenization is not a question of why anymore. It's clear for everyone. The sentiment from the beginning of 2024 is very, very clear. It's only a question of how and when, and I think the answers are all also clear. It's happening now. I saw a lot of interest around tokenized Tesla or tokenized GameStop, and we can do it with a click of a button. and maybe we will. But we want to have the right to do it right, to have the right liquidity behind it, to see users coming in from different countries, yes, outside the US, but from different countries, and we will open more countries very soon, because essentially the whole idea around tokenizing real-world assets like shares, but we also mentioned another example is the fact that you can have fractional ownership, and the fact that you can invest with crypto, and the fact that it's available 24/7. And I was very excited to see the first off-market hours on Nvidia after we launched it. And this is what we were talking about for quite some time. And now with bNVDA being the first and not the last example, I believe this vision is being translated to reality, and it's very encouraging. And I'm sure that we'll see more and more assets listed for secondary market on INX ATS. So thank you, everyone, and thank you, Dan, for moderating.
Say something.
People ask me when, why I started INX and what was the vision. And I think I want to close this circle. I said on 2017, end of 2017, with the big hype of the ICO, that I believe in the technology and I believe in the vision. But if we all believe that it's going to be $1 trillion market, regulation must be part of the game. Impossible to trade trillions of dollars with no regulation, with no transparency, with no disclosures to clients, regulators, shareholders, etc. And I think this is what we see in the past year. We see many regulators trying to put in frame what is legal, what is illegal. We see MiCA, we see in Turkey, last week they announced something about regulation.
Right.
Of course, in the US, where they are trying to define the world of what is belong to the SEC under security laws, what is a derivative under the CFTC, what is a currency, which is not under the SEC, not under the CFTC. We see regulation in Japan,
South Korea
regulation,
development.
and I think this is a big news to the market, because one, we see the name, of course, the US, Europe, Japan, South Korea, where we see the
Abu Dhabi.
Western, not only the Western world, defining the regulation. This is a go-ahead to the market, and from this I have huge belief in the crypto, blockchain, real-world assets, all of the above.
Okay, great. So thank you, everyone. It was very exciting to see you all in the same room. And yeah, until the next time, right?
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Even for podcasts that online or